Hey everyone, if this is your first talk with us, then welcome to the Product Marketing Festival. And for those of you that have already been tuning in, welcome back. We hope you will or have been enjoying what's going on, and we just want to take the opportunity to say thanks to all the sponsors and partners. And if you're not already signed up, don't forget to check out the Slack channel for lots more product marketing resources and discussion. Enjoy the talk.
Hi, and thank you for joining me today. My name is Tamara Gurminski, and I'm really excited to talk to you about the power and impact a good product marketing team can have on your business. For context, I wanted to talk to you a little bit about Unbounce, which is where I work. Unbounce is a powerful landing page builder for small to mid-sized businesses. We've fine-tuned the conversion path and have actually facilitated more than 1 billion conversions. Over at Unbounce, I'm the VP of Strategic Growth, and that includes leading the product marketing team. I'm super passionate about small to mid-sized businesses, particularly the SaaS products that exist to enable them. Some of my previous experience includes leading product marketing at FreshBooks, as well as Yellow Pages Canada. I'm also the Vancouver, Canada ambassador for the Product Marketing Alliance. And throughout all of my experience leading product marketing and growth teams, I started to understand that product marketing is one of the most underutilized and misunderstood functions out there. And that's actually a real shame, because I believe that product marketing is one of the most critical functions in any fast-growing SaaS business. In fact, I would actually go as far as to say that product marketing is the linchpin to sustainable business growth. And today, I'm going to make a case for my bold statement and show you how you can implement a strong product marketing team in your own business starting today. I see a pattern that's very common at many SaaS businesses. And unfortunately, it's that there's confusion across different key teams. And this confusion really creates disjointed strategies as well as disjointed customer experiences. So imagine a scenario like this. Your marketing team has just published this amazing lead gen piece for SMBs. But your partnerships team has just signed this new awesome partner who's in the automotive space. Meanwhile, your product team is building new features for the realtor segment. And your sales team has just crushed this amazing new sale of a huge enterprise company that has 50 users. All of these teams think that they're doing an amazing job, but they're all focused on a completely different strategy. And it would just be a complete mess if this actually happened. Every team would be moving in their own direction, and you would never create any momentum. Let's plot all of these teams just a little bit differently. So here, again, we start with marketing. And marketing's job is really to attract new prospects and trialers to the business. And then we have sales, whose job is to convert and onboard those brand new customers. Then we have customer success, who wants to make sure that we're delivering customer value throughout the entire customer lifecycle. And partnerships and business development, who's always looking at developing relationships and expanding the ecosystem of partners who could provide value to customers. And finally, product management, who's really focused on building products that solve customer problems. But if each of these teams are going in a completely different direction, you're never going to receive alignment. And that's why I believe that product marketing should really live in the center of this wheel. When you have product marketing at the heart of your business and at the heart of your strategies, you can make sure that everyone is aligned, that you're building holistic growth strategies, and that you're streamlining tactics across the organization. This is what's actually going to create that momentum for you and accelerate your business growth. And when you don't have that, this is what you end up getting. You're getting something that's being built for small businesses, but your sales and marketing team is actually marketing to larger businesses. You're going to implement something like a short trial duration when actually what your customers need is a long sales cycle. And unfortunately, you're just going to be solving for a market problem that your customers don't already have. And again, while each individual team might think that they're being successful and maybe they're even meeting their KPIs, it's not always clear what's going on around them and what all of the other teams are doing. And this is where product marketing can step in. When positioned for success, product marketing can create these growth strategies and really make sure that we're avoiding missteps like this. And today, I want to walk you through 4 simple steps to experience the power and impact of product marketing in your own business. First, we're going to talk about defining the role. Then we're going to go on to discuss how you can create your mandate. Then, where should your team sit within the business? And then finally, how you can use your team to build alignment across the entire organization. Let's get started with step one, defining your role. So the role of product marketing is evolving. In the past, in the old world, it was really all about writing value propositions. Maybe you were producing some marketing materials, building some sales enablement for sales, and hosting a webinar or two. But the new world of product marketing is strategically led. Here, it's our job to truly understand the market and the competitive trends that are happening around us. And then we can use this understanding to develop revenue and growth strategies that will fuel the business. We can influence the product roadmap and drive the go-to-market strategy. No, we're no longer just bystanders waiting to be handed something to put on the shelf. And it's really our job to truly understand the value of the product, match it to a customer's problem, and then ensure that that customer is seeing value. I believe that really a definition of what a product marketing team should be doing is deeply understanding their customer and their market to showcase the product's value and identify strategic opportunities for growth. It goes way beyond just marketing the product. And so if we were to plot the different responsibilities of a product marketing team on a spectrum, we might get something that looks like this. On the left-hand side, it's really strategy-focused activities. Some of the ones that I just talked to you about. So marketing competitive analysis, opportunity sizing and building business cases, pricing and monetization, and a little bit of positioning and messaging. On the right end of the spectrum, this is where we're going to get the more execution type tasks related to product marketing. So content creation, lead gen, and customer activation and adoption. And you have go-to-market planning right in the middle. And so you can think about the things on the left side as inputs and the things on the right side as outputs. And so if you have a strategy-focused product marketing team, you're probably going to be skewed a little bit more towards the left side of the spectrum, the strategy side. And so I've highlighted those tasks in blue. If your team is strategically focused, you're spending a lot of time developing those inputs and then using them to guide the go-to-market planning. At this point, this is probably when you're handing off the execution to another really strong team, like your customer marketing team or your marketing team. If you're an execution-focused product marketing team, you probably have a different team giving you those strategic inputs. Maybe you're involved a little bit, but perhaps it's an actual strategy team at your organization who's doing this, or perhaps product management themselves. And then really you're focused on that go-to-market planning piece as well as executing that plan to the market. And I just want to be clear that there's no right or wrong place to fall on the spectrum. It's all about what makes sense for your team and your business. But it's really important that you are clear about where you want to fall on the spectrum and where you do actually fall on the spectrum. In my opinion, the most effective product marketing teams are ones that skew towards the left end, that strategic side. So now that you understand where you fall on the spectrum, if you're going to be more strategically led or if you're going to be more execution based, you can start to think about the types of things that you'll be doing within your organization. Mainly, you want to create and share your mandate so that everyone else knows what you're working on as well. When we think about product marketing, as we just discussed, there's so many different things that you can be doing that it can be a little bit overwhelming. And so defining your mandate and really shaping what you're going to be doing is critical before you just jump into it. I like to think of this a little bit like a puzzle. We all kind of know the final destination that we want to get to. We want to get to business growth, but there's a ton of different ways and paths for us to get there. And so at a tech startup, these possibilities are really endless, and it might be dependent on the stage of growth that you're at. It's up to you to really identify where the biggest gap is that your team can fill. When it comes to starting to prioritize your mandate, I like to take a look at everything that we could be working on and then start to prioritize all of the things. So I always start by asking myself, what's the biggest business challenge that we're struggling with right now? Are we struggling to attract leads? Do we need to increase our conversion rate? Or conversely, are we actually looking to decrease churn? In the age of COVID, there's a ton of different things impacting our business that maybe just didn't exist a few months ago. And so now more than ever is a really important time for you to take a look back and ask if your product marketing team is serving your organization for what it needs today. Once you have an understanding of maybe the top 3 business problems that you need to solve, then you can start to think about how the product marketing team itself can plug into that. What's the most urgent out of all of these business problems? Does one need to be solved today? Or is there sequencing that needs to happen here? Maybe the second problem is actually the most important, but you can't get to that until you solve the first problem. And then finally, what is your team uniquely qualified to do? And this is where I think product marketing is really exciting, is that, as we mentioned, product marketing looks different at every single organization. And I think it's because of the compilation of the players on the product marketing team. And so you and your team are going to have unique strengths that together and as individuals you can use that perhaps don't exist elsewhere in the business. And this should help guide the things that you're focusing on. And so once you understand exactly the challenge that you want to face first, and then how you're going to rally your team to solve those problems, you can really start to get focused and get started. But we want to make sure that everything that you're doing can be measured, and so that you, your team, and the organization can understand the impact that you're having on the company. And this is something that product marketing has really struggled with in the past. How do I quantify the value of my work? How do I ask for more headcount? How do I prove that business case out? When I think about product marketing metrics, I like to think about them in 3 different categories. This may or may not be true for your business. But the first one is revenue-based KPIs. And so sometimes we'll call these business-based KPIs or your key SaaS metrics. These are things like your revenue growth rate. Maybe it's your trial to paid conversion rate or your net revenue churn. These are actual metrics that probably several people around the business are also tracking, but that you can be a key influencer of. The second category is product adoption-based metrics. And so these are things really usually related to product launch, but they could be carried over after product launch as well. So think initial product adoption. What is the adoption rate that you want within 3 months of launching, within 1 year of launching? What's the adoption rate you want per segment or per use case? You can also think about features within those specific products. Is it really important to you that you drive usage of a particular feature? And then finally, adoption by segment. Do you have key segments that you're going after? Maybe you're trying to launch a new segment or you want to go deeper into a few segments that you have. You can actually track the adoption of those particular segments and relate it back to your work. And finally is behavior-based KPIs. And this is really about how customers and users are engaging with your tool. You can think about the Reforge model here when you're thinking about the type of behavior-based KPIs you may create. So in Reforge, they talk a lot about the engagement rate. And so what is that one metric that can show you that customers are highly engaged? You can also think about activation rate. How do you know when a customer has really reached that initial point of value and can be considered activated? There's tons of activities that could go along with these behavior-based KPIs, but they're often things that not a lot of people in your organization are focused on. So if you can focus on them, you can make a lot of improvement. So once you understand what your mandate is and the types of problems you're going to solve, how you're going to measure your success, what are your important KPIs, you really need to think about where should your team sit within your organization. Now, this is a really controversial topic, and usually it's broken down into this question: should product marketing sit in product or in marketing? And really, there's benefits of both. But today, what I want to talk to you about is the fact that actually it's not that simple. This is really an oversimplified view of the question we should be asking ourselves. So let's just take a step back and go back to that wheel that we saw earlier, where we saw all of the different teams that product marketing interacts with. And you can really see that when you look at it through this lens, product marketing doesn't just enable marketing and product management, it enables a handful of teams across the entire organization. And so I would argue that putting product marketing in marketing or putting product marketing in product management really cuts out the value that it could provide to the other teams. So let's take a look at just product marketing and product management and the different teams that they enable. Here we can see that product management's key stakeholders are marketing, sales, customer success, and partnerships. On the flip side, product management is usually responsible for the relationships with engineering and UX. And then together, product management and product marketing form a partnership to make sure that all of these teams are on the same page. So let's just cross out product management for a little bit because we want to focus on product marketing today. So what do all of these 4 blue teams have in common? They're all revenue-focused teams. And so I want to make the case today that I would urge you to think outside of the box of where product marketing could fit and consider if it should fit in a revenue department. At Unbounce, this is what our structure actually looks like. And so we have a product marketing team, and I report directly into our chief revenue officer. We also have a product management team, and they report into a chief product officer. And both of those departments report into the president. And so in this way, product marketing and product management can really be peers and partners and represent both halves of the business. Now, obviously, not every company has a chief revenue officer. Not every company has a revenue department. But what I really just want to communicate today is the fact that there are other options out there. And I urge you to have conversations about where the best place to sit really is. And so why do we actually sit in revenue? Why do we make that distinct separation? Well, first of all, it really creates an unbiased, neutral team. In product marketing, we really understand both sides of the business. And when we're making decisions, marketing doesn't feel like we're making it just because we sit with product management, and product management doesn't think that we're making it just because we sit with marketing. We're outside of both of those teams, and so we can see really the benefits of every decision that we make. It also makes sure that product marketing is seen as a key function in a department. It's not a sub-function of another team. And this ensures that we're included and, in our case, usually leading all of our core growth activities. It also allows for streamlined communications between both sides of the business. And so because we are able to represent the side of all of the different revenue teams to product management, we get a more holistic view of the conversation. And again, the whole reason that this works and that we set it up this way is that it's to create the strategic alignment and build momentum. But as we mentioned at the beginning, there are other structures that exist. The most usual or typical option is to sit within marketing or product management, and there are benefits of these as well. So I wanted to touch on them quickly. The benefit of sitting in marketing is that you're sitting super close to copywriters who are able to really help you tweak your positioning and messaging and get that content out in the market. It also means that product marketing usually will have a deeper understanding of the buying journey and the top of the funnel. Meanwhile, if you were to sit with product management, really the benefit is that your typical closest stakeholder is product management. And so sitting within that department means that you're creating even more alignment than if you would be separated. It also means that you would be defaulted into being involved in the entire product development lifecycle from ideation onwards. And this can be a tricky one for many product marketing teams. It doesn't mean that if you're not in product, you shouldn't or you can't be involved in the entire lifecycle. It just means that if you're baked into the team, you're usually baked into that process. And then finally, we already touched on the revenue ones, but really the main benefit here is that idea of being an unbiased, neutral team. Again, just want to mention before we move on, there's no right or wrong answer to that one, but what is important is that you're having the conversation with senior leaders and decision makers across the organization, and you're deciding what makes sense based on your goals and your team. And so now that we've got to this point, it's really time to leverage the team that you've put together to create some alignment across the entire organization. And hopefully where you've decided to sit in the organization is going to help you do this. So it's really our job at this point to align the efforts of a lot of other execution-focused teams, especially if you're a strategic product marketing team. So the first thing you're going to want to do is you're going to want to collect feedback and inputs. So you want to get inputs from some of your stakeholders. You want to get inputs from the market. You want to get impacts from customers. You want to get a really clear view of what needs to happen for your business. What are the core metrics that you need to tweak in order to stimulate growth? What are those levers that you need to pull? And then as a second step, you're going to work really closely with product to build a holistic strategy. So not just a product strategy and not just a go-to-market strategy, but a holistic strategy to grow the business. And then finally, you're going to share that strategy with all of the other departments, and you're going to guide the execution. Again, you're not going to lead the execution. You're not going to do the execution. You're going to guide it. So let's dig a little deeper. When it comes to collecting feedback and inputs, it's really important that you're building rituals with your core teams across the company. So again, think partnerships, think sales, think customer success. Creating these rituals will build open lines of communication between both product marketing and those customer-facing teams. They're on the front lines talking to customers day in and day out, and so it's really important that you're getting that feedback loop. But you want to make sure that this isn't just being told to you ad hoc. You want to centralize this customer and user feedback so everyone across the organization can access it and make decisions against it. This also means that if all of the information is one place, you're able to actually identify trends and patterns as the time goes on. And then it's also really important at this point to align on one definition of a customer, as well as a source of truth on customer business metrics. And so if one person thinks that your customer segment is one thing, but your team thinks it's a different thing, you're never going to be talking apples to apples. Or if you're getting your data from one source and another team's getting it from a different source, you're always going to be sharing different numbers. Sometimes we have to take the lead on this and centralizing all of that effort. When it comes time to build a strategy, it's your responsibility as a product marketing team to bring all of the collected feedback, as well as the knowledge from your desk research about the market, as well as your insights and analysis of what all of those trends and inputs mean to your product management partners. You don't want to just bring them information, you want to bring them insights. And then together, you want to build one holistic strategy. And the reason that this is so important is that if you have a product strategy and a go-to-market strategy, regardless of how similar they may be, if they're not one strategy, you're never going to build that momentum or build that acceleration. And then again, at the end of your strategy, you want to define what success looks for you together, not what success looks for each part of the business or each team, but as a business, what does it mean to be successful? How will we know if we've executed on our strategy successfully? And what is the 1 or 2 or 3 key metrics that we're going to track collectively to make sure that we hit that goal? Now, by this point, you and your product management peers are probably so deep into the strategy that it can be a little hard to take a step back and remember that not everyone has been as involved as you've been. But it's really critical that you start to socialize your strategy and get stakeholder buy-in before you start to execute. Again, product marketing and product management are responsible for building the strategy, but you're not building it alone. Remember all of those stakeholders that you have. Remember all of the inputs that you have. You need to make sure that they're bought in throughout the journey so that by the end, once they're ready to start execution, they're just as excited as you are. And so take the time to build excitement. Take the time to help the other teams understand how they can contribute and what it means for them on a day-to-day basis. And then step back and actually empower them to do what they do best. Remember, we talked about how your team should be strategically focused, and that's really the value you bring to the business. Now is the time when those execution-focused teams can step in and execute on that amazing strategy that you've built. And again, you want to make sure that you're involved, that you're leading the launch plans, that you're coordinating with all of the different teams to make sure they're using the same language, that the strategy is threaded throughout, but you want to empower those teams to actually do the execution. And if you're able to execute on this properly, then we're going to see a positive improvement from what we talked about in the beginning of the presentation. So while you're building for small businesses, now you're also going to be marketing to small businesses. And you have a short trial duration, which maps up to the short sales cycle that your customers actually want. And You're confident that you're solving for a market problem that your customers absolutely have. And in this way, you're going to be building alignment across these teams, which is going to lead to growth momentum. And so now you're going to have a marketing team that's focused on small agencies. And you're going to have a partnerships team that's focused on small agencies. And you're going to have a product team that's building products for small agencies. And you're finally going to have a sales team that's out there pitching small agencies. And that's the beautiful thing. And so to recap, first, you're going to start by defining your role. Are you going to be a strategically led team or an execution led team? Then you're going to define your mandate. What's the most important business challenge for you to take on? And what are your team uniquely positioned to solve for? And then where should your team sit within the organization? Is it within product? Is it within marketing? Or is it within another team or department altogether? And then finally, you're going to pull together all of the things that you've built to create this alignment across the entire organization. Thank you so much for joining me today. Again, I'm Shamara Graminsky, leading strategic growth at Unbounce. If you want to chat about growth, product marketing, customer marketing, I'm always happy to chat. You can find me on LinkedIn or shoot me an email. And thank you very much for attending. Have a great day.